Well, look who decided to show up.
Yeah. Sorry I'm late.
One thing about the Tales series that you can always count on regardless of platform is pretty much knowing what you're getting into with each new entry. A huge RPG world to explore, manga art style, and fun real-time combat. While Tales of Xillia certainly adds its own wrinkles to the formula, the game remains largely the same in comparison to previous entries. While some might be disappointed that the Tales series doesn't take huge risks in changing the formula from sequel to sequel, I've actually grown to appreciate this design philosophy. In a way, the Tales games are kind of like video game comfort food. Sure, they might not be the most refined of their type, but it just feels good every time you dig in. With that all being said, does Tales of Xillia stand out amongst its predecessors, or is it simply just another solid entry in the series?
I quite enjoy ingesting calories with you. Humans should learn to cherish these simple pleasures.
In the series' first, Tales of Xillia totes two playable main characters. Jude Mathis, a do-gooder intern at a medical school, and Mila Maxwell, a mysterious woman hell-bent on completing her mission. You choose which of these two to play at the beginning of the game, with each character having their own unique insights to the story not seen by the other. I felt like this was a really cool idea as it gives the player a bit more choice and also encourages repeat playthroughs to see every piece of the story. The actual plot of Tales of Xillia is typical fare for RPGs. A super weapon is on the verge of being used and Mila is on a mission to stop it. She crosses paths with Jude and their fates are forever intertwined. Personally, the story was my least favorite part of Xillia. I just couldn't be bothered to get invested in what was happening with the plot. It also doesn't help that the characters are pretty dull for the most part.
Oh, sure. Hey, I won't argue with that.
The cast is filled to the brim with RPG tropes. Jude is just a nice guy, and while I understand Mila's robot-like character, she's just not that interesting. Thankfully, the suave and funny Alvin joins you early on to help keep things salvageable. While the story might not have caught my interest, the combat and exploration definitely had me coming back again and again.
Are we good or what?
Yeah.
Ouch, the cold shoulder.
The gameplay is pretty standard for a Tales game. Travel from town to town for the next story segment, while fighting battles and exploring dungeons. However, Xillia changes things up quite a bit to keep things interesting. Instead of a typical world map, towns and dungeons are now separated by interconnected zones, very reminiscent of the map system in Final Fantasy XII. While I have a fondness towards the classic JRPG world map system, I also really love this interconnected zones idea. It makes the world feel much bigger and rich. Some of the zones are really basic, like a field area, but then there are others that look gorgeous and have some stunning views. A few new features that allow you to better take in these grand vistas are the ability to climb terrain and a camera you can actually control. The climbing and jumping are really basic mechanics, but make the world feel more vast and gives it a level of verticality not found in past Tales entries. Almost every prior Tales game has also had a fixed camera or one that the game controlled for you, but now you're given full control using the right analog stick. It feels great to finally be able to get the looks you've wanted while exploring the world. You're also given the option to fast travel after a certain point in the game to cut down on backtracking. This option gets locked for certain story segments, but it's nice if you're trying to go back and complete side quests. Speaking of which, side quests are much more prominent than ever before. Each new town typically has a few that have you searching for certain items or killing a big monster. I actually really enjoyed them as it's a good reason to keep grinding and also provides some great rewards. The combat system remains largely the same, but again, there's a few new tweaks. You're still able to fight in real time with up to 4 party members, but now you're able to swap in members on the fly and pair up with other party members. The pairing system called linking allows you to tag team on enemies during combat. Each party member does something a little different, such as stunning an enemy or breaking their guard. Once certain circumstances are met, you're able to perform a team-up move for massive damage. Character progression has probably received the biggest overhaul of any game system. Instead of characters leveling up automatically, you're now able to customize how your characters level up through the Lilium Orb system, clearly inspired by Final Fantasy X Sphere Grid. You can select upgrades one by one, but if this becomes too tedious, Xillia provides automatic leveling as well. Additionally, shops have their own progression system as well. Instead of each new town having different items, you can now upgrade shops on a whole that provide better items and discounts the more you level them up. As you travel through the world, you'll collect materials that you can either sell for money or trade into upgrade shops. I actually really enjoyed this little metagame as it's just one more way to feel a nice sense of progression. On a whole, I really enjoyed all these new gameplay changes. It's helped the series catch up to modern design with features that frankly were well overdue. While other sequels may have had more interesting characters or better stories, in my opinion, no other game in the series has played as well as Tales of Xillia.
Come on, do you really think a pipsqueak, a pretty girl, and a dashing man like me would be up to no good?
Namco has clearly taken many design choices from Grace's F and implemented them into Xillia. Character models and towns all have a similar feel to them. To be quite honest, I'm a little disappointed in this. Grace's F was natively a Wii game, so to have a game made specifically for the PS3 not look marginally better is a real shame. Personally, I enjoyed the more anime-inspired looks of Vesperia and Abyss by comparison. Admittedly, certain towns and open areas do look beautiful. The starting town of Fenmont looks amazing. The dark sky and glowing colors give the town an almost dreamlike feeling. The beach area was also quite enjoyable to take in. Most of the other areas, though, look very uninspired, with the port towns being a particularly egregious example. The music is what you would expect for the most part. Battle themes rock, town themes are calming, and other songs fit the mood well. The voice acting is really hit or miss though. Alvin and the enemy's voice actors do a great job of emphasizing the characters' traits, but Jude and Mila, strangely enough, are the most boring of the bunch. While everyone certainly has their moments, this definitely was not one of the stronger outings for a Tales voice cast.
Huh?
Nature calls. I better leave now before things get messy.
To be honest, I had pretty high hopes for Xillia, and while some expectations weren't met, the game is good where it counts, being fun. The combat is exhilarating with a plethora of new moves to try and different characters to play as. Exploring the environments to collect materials is enjoyable, and I love the grind of doing heaps of side quests. With loads of content and reason to play the game a second time, you won't be seeing the end of this tale anytime soon. Xillia might not be the finest RPG this year, or even the best this series has to offer, but it's really solid all around and should satisfy any RPG enthusiast.